Y'all know what day it is. You know what time it is. 2021 edition. The Iron Bowl. The War Rapport. We are here and we are live. Ready to talk about it. My man Mike G is live from the stadium. I am at the house. B Will at the house. C-Dub at the house. But we are here. Ready to talk to y'all, man. I see some of y'all already piling in. We already got a big super chat in. Before we get to that super chat, though, want to check in with the fellas, see how everybody's doing. Thank everybody for coming through. Thank all of our sponsors from the entire year, man. We'll go giving a lot of just props for this whole season and how it's gone down. But I'll start with you, Mike, just because you're in the most loud environment. How is it down on the plains at Jordan Hare, the environment, the crowd, all of that?
Well, there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope today. I think that most fans here are realistic about what the chances are. It's the Iron Bowl, so anything can happen. And we're hoping for a little bit of magic. This is going to be T.J. Henry's second start, and consequently the biggest game that he's played today as a Tiger. So they can make a statement today. I think a whole lot of people are hoping for that. I ran into his mom down at Tiger.
Shout out to Mama Finley.
She's a big fan of the show. And, she's hopeful. I mean, right, it's a lot of parents today that watch our show. I think they're realistic about what the chances are, but just hopeful that these guys can pull something special in there.
Yeah, absolutely. B. Will, how you feeling, man? You are down in Auburn, of course, as always. The town buzzing. What's going on down there on the plains, man? You're muted.
It is absolutely buzzing. It is. If our fan base was out of it, if they were disconnected and no longer invested, you wouldn't know it by the traffic that's down here. The energy's still up, which is good for the city. I think I've talked about on the show how 2012, it really felt like somebody had died every Saturday. But this is not that. I think it's more of a feel out of Harsin. This will complete the public's evaluation of Harsin as a coach. I think this will. We had some great times in October, some terrible times so far in November. And I think more than anybody, people are ready to see what Harsin can do with the weight of this rivalry kind of bearing down on him after a disappointing November and seeing what he can muster. Because we've seen what it looks like when we play well. We've seen what it looks like when we underperform. And here really in November, it was coaching. Coaching was the issue more in November than anything else. And I think this will complete the who is Harsin as a coach, and not in totality, but his personality. What is his imprint? All right, you don't have anything to play for as far as records go. You're not going to make it to the national championship, the SEC championship. What do you have to give for this? Can you muster the strength and the dedication for this game because of what it means to this community and this group of players? Can you do that for them? Can you pull that out of these seniors when you haven't been here through these battles that they have? They've got more Iron Bowl experience than you. I want to see that. I think the public wants to see that. When I bump into people, they aren't hanging their heads and going, it's a wash. They expect to see a game. And I expect to see a game, which is why I picked them. I picked us on Wednesday. And I'm looking forward to it. This is the assessment. The assessment left is not of the team. The team is what our record says we are, honestly. That's how football is. But Harsin, the coach, that's still up for debate. And I'm ready for this game to show that.
Absolutely. All right, C-Dub, how you feeling, man? Game day. You still riding with your prediction from, or you got a little Homer vibes you want to give us today? What's up?
No, I don't have Homer vibes. But to quote B. Will, I'm at peace.
There you go.
Yeah, man.
I'm
there
at
you
peace.
go.
And the reason why I say that is I think regardless of outcome, I want to see us do something that I'm still waiting for all season long, for us to put together 4 solid quarters of quality football.
For sure.
And to me, that's going to signal that things are improving, things are turning, and all the pent-up frustration, man, so far this month, unleash it on Bama. Give them hell.
Yeah.
Give them hell. And that's what I want to see. These guys are going to get up for it. They don't need no motivation for this game. This is Alabama. A lot of these dudes went to school with these guys, were recruited with these guys. They know these guys inside and out. So a lot of it, they're going to go out and play hard, play tough. But when the other team makes adjustments, today it shouldn't matter. You know what we're doing. We're still going to do it anyway. And so to me, I just want to see those guys come out, and we know what we can do in the first 2 quarters. But the third quarter, if they get the ball, stop them. We get the ball back, move the ball, and actually put some points on the board. I want to see us make a statement in the second half that things are different. We've corrected our issues, our mistakes of the past. I just want to see that. And to me, that makes me I feel good from that standpoint, that I think that these coaches and players have taken the past few weeks to heart, and they really are going to make some adjustments. So for that, man, I don't feel all doom and gloom. I just want to see some good football. This is the last game, regular game of the season, a regular season game, and I want to see us play our best game of the season.
I feel that. Shout out to our guy, Risk No Reward here, giving the money. He doesn't want to do every month, but also remember that Harsin passing the ball more to show the recruits we're going to play this style. We don't have the wideouts. Definitely something to think about of why the passing game has been featured so much, wanting to show something to some people in the future. But hopefully today, forget all of that. Just go get a W. Whatever the score says, forget that and keep scoring points. Whatever's working is what I want to see today. A lot of great chats coming in from some people. Somebody asked a question that I want to grab in here to Mike G. Did they change the mask rule? I just saw it. Don't know where it was. Yeah, there we go. Jeremy's asked they changed the mask rule because he's coming to a game soon.
They did. But you go ahead and answer my bad.
Yeah, they did. Which is great because I forgot mine anyway. So I was desperately looking for one, but we're maskless. So yes.
Awesome. Yeah, people keeping an eye on that Michigan versus Ohio State game. Michigan just scored again. Ohio State's got the ball back now, of course, but it's a 15-point game in that one. Question here from Drew asks, is Harsin on the hot seat? I think it's a little early to put him on a hot seat. I do think that this is a game he needs to show well in. 6-6 is not great for a first season, but I think it's a little early to put a coach on the hot seat, considering the expectations were only high based upon the early season results, not because it was his first year, right? Like, I don't think anybody going into the season thought we were going to have a great season. I think people coming into, week 10 thought, oh man, we could do some magical things. But I'll let y'all guys talk here. This battery's down on this camera.
He shouldn't be. He isn't, as far as I know, and he shouldn't be, because number one, we just paid the coach a lot of money to go away. I don't think they would invest in a new coach, in a new direction with new coordinators, and then bail on them as well. I know it's been a while since we've had a really good season. 2017 was the last time we had a season I thought was actually good, and we haven't had that type of feeling. We haven't had anything to build on, to be excited about, and I think we, the fans, are a little exasperated with that. But we've had 18, 19, 20. 3 of the last 4 seasons have been underwhelming, and that was on another guy. So you give this guy a chance and some time, and I think everybody above him will give him that. They want to give him that. Everybody wants results. We want to be in the conversation. It would have been great to go on a run in November and kind of complete the momentum and the deal that we had going in October, but it's just too early. It's too early to do that to him. That would have been ahead of schedule, and I don't think being ahead of schedule in year one promises you anything, because we've just seen you get ahead of schedule in year one, and Gus had a great run, and then we never got anything close to that. We could not maintain momentum. Even when we had a good year, we had a bad year right behind it. And there's a thing is building too early and too quick. And if the foundation isn't stable, it's going to crumble. And we've seen what that looks like. So me personally, I'm willing to give them 3 years. That is when you get to get in on the ground floor. You have been recruiting guys for 2 years. So that 2023 class, that's his class. You give him a chance to get his guys in here and really see if what he wants to build can work. And I'm willing to give him that long. I think everybody above him is willing to give him that long because money becomes a factor if you get rid of a guy this quickly. But that's how I feel about Harsin in a hot seat. I don't think that exists for him yet, but I don't know what y'all think.
I mean, I just think people are disappointed with how this month has played out. I mean, just 3 months ago, the narrative was Auburn controls its destiny in the SEC West. Auburn wins out. Auburn gets a chance to go to Atlanta in year one. And so you go from that to losing to South Carolina and looking at the possibility of finishing the season 500. You're talking about a total swing of emotion. And so for that, you have a lot of those voices get louder in terms of Harsin in his seat, but I don't think he's in the hot seat just because we still have to. He's still building a program. You know, again, we went to the national championship game in year one, and you would have thought that was the start of great things to come, and it wasn't. So I think you have to give him. You got to give him some time to really to build his program the way he sees fit and the way he wants to. And it starts with closing out this recruiting class strong, hitting the portal, and bouncing back. I mean, we have a lot of questions to answer in the offseason in terms of starting quarterback, some skill positions, defense. I mean, we lose some guys on defense. So we got it's going to be interesting in the offseason. I think there's a lot more questions to be answered there. And I think you have to give him a fair shot at answering some of those questions and righting the ship.
Yeah, no, props to what Anthony Grant is saying here. It's definitely about how the games have been lost that have people in an uproar. 100% not debating that whatsoever. I think the way that you lose those games does put people I would argue, though, that it doesn't matter how we lost those games. The fans would still be upset. Like going on a losing streak after being so close emotionally to, oh man, we could make the playoff if and then you lose those 3 games. It literally doesn't matter how we lost those games. We could have gotten beaten by 40 out the gate. We could have lost a close one late. It could have been a back and forth the entire time. People would have still been upset. I think that is just kind of the way that it is being a fan, right? Yeah. You lose games in whatever fashion after being so close mentally to where you thought that the team might finish. Fans are going to be upset.
Right.
Scotty Davis says no one's happy with our record, but you have to give Harsin time. He's a winner. Recruit. Exactly. Definitely we got to give him some time to install the system, and it's really more so about, is it too early to push the panic button? And I don't think that it is. Right. All right, let's see here. There's been a lot of rumors swirling around here. Drewkhan says, heard he was rumored at Washington. I like him, and I hope he stays. I was just concerned with the collapse. Yeah. Listen, I don't substantiate rumors because I have no way to know what the real is. But, listen. Anthony Rudd said just offered Justin Williams 4-star back from Georgia. Okay. James
kind of stacked the running back.
Yeah, James Buck. Well, James Buckley says
stop.
no. He
that.
better stay.
No, don't do that.
Listen,
now.
man, I hope we continue to stay stacked. This is a good question here. Lawrence Robinson says, "Do y'all feel D-Rob was a bust?" I'm guessing from the head shake, Mike G does. Mike, what B will?
All right, so bust is relative to what you expected of him.
Okay.
All right, so if I draft a guy number 1 overall and he plays 2 years and he's bad and then he's out of the league in 5 years because he was a backup after those first 2 years, he's a bust. If a guy comes in, transfers from a program, and he had a very high star rating 4 years ago, I don't think he's necessarily a bust. I think our expectations of him may have needed to be in check. And I remember talking about it when we signed him. It's like, hey, we don't really know what he is, so we don't really know if we can get excited. Right. And as it turns out, he's okay.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think he was a bust because I didn't expect him to be George Pickens.
Right.
He now if George Pickens had come here and played like that, he would have been a bust. But there's a reason a guy leaves a team that loves talent and was actually short their best wide receiver, and they're like, yeah, go ahead.
Right.
So I think that ends up being kind of what we expected.
See, you got any feelings on that?
Yeah, he was a bust, Brian. The reason why I say that is because he came in and there was a feel-good story about him. and the coaches liked him. The coaches raved about him. And
Can we just say the coaches raved about a lot of people who we have not seen at all this season, but continue.
Yeah.
But that's my point. That's my point. So whatever expectation you got from D-Rob came from how the coaches spoke highly of him.
True.
Then he got into the game, and we saw a few good games from him, but when it came time for those big games, he disappeared.
Yeah.
And when we needed him most, he really wasn't. I mean, outside of I forget what game that was. He caught, it may have been Mississippi State, where he caught a long bomb from Bo.
Arkansas.
It was Arkansas.
Yeah, that's right. It was Arkansas,
Like, he had a few moments here and there, but based on what the coach, because again, we still were expecting guys like Capers and Canyon to be the guys. And so for him to come from Georgia and to be projected one of the starters and actually start, okay, this guy has to been showing the coaches something. And so for us not to see that, yes, I would definitely say, and to B's credit, he may have known better, but if we were to believe the coaches, D-Rob was going to be one of the guys who was going to be the most productive out of that receiver room, and he hasn't been.
You had something you want to add there, Mike? You look like you got comments on it. I'll let you jump in.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree. I think that his play season is of the overall problems with the offense. I don't think anything specific to him. I think a lot of guys, I think you could say almost everybody, it's in that category. I'm choosing my words wisely because I'm impressed by it. It's been a lot of expectations that weren't there, in particular from the guy delivering the ball. So, it just is what it is at this point. Some of these kids will get an extra year. If they do, I hope we pull a lot of things together to give them a better chance to make plays more consistently in an offense that is overall more consistent. So, any inconsistencies we've seen from him, I just feel like it's a symptom of a lot of the inconsistencies that we've seen from this offense in year one.
That's fair. Lawrence Robinson says props to Shedrick for being the most improved wide receiver.
I think Kobe is, honestly. Because Kobe, last year, I didn't see any of Kobe. Shed actually had more reps coming into this year. So he has improved. But Kobe has gone from barely see the field and only dropping passes to from beginning to end, he has started to, we've seen more crisp route running. We've seen more moves in the open field. We've seen some circus catches lately. Well, in the last game, he played a full game. I think Kobe has become a true, number one wide receiver, assuming the drops are behind him, because they did kind of peak back up a little later in the season. But if Kobe can cement all of his progression through the year today, I feel comfortable saying he's number one. But Shed has improved significantly, especially the last few games, which is amazing to see. I mean, can't be anything but proud of him.
Definitely. Super chat here from Ethan Sandlin. Bobo is gone after this season? ? Do you think Mike Bobo is gone after this season? Mike G says yes. B Will says he's not sure. B Will, all right, talk to me.
All right, so I'm gonna let me put my tinfoil TWR Scully, because I don't wear fitteds, right?
Okay.
I think Will Friend is Mike Bobo's guy. I think Will Friend has queued up a potential 4 or 5 offensive line recruits in this incoming class. I think we've got 2. We're in it for 2 more. And I think that is kind of leverage to make sure, all right, if you get rid of me, my guy's going too. And I think that is reason enough to buy them both one more year, because we can't say no to Bobo and then Will Friend says, okay, I'm out of here because I'm going with my guy. And then we lose 2 of those 4. We can't afford to do that. We cannot afford to say no to offensive line recruits. Now, Nick Braun was quoted this week saying that they're thinking, him and a couple of the other guys are thinking about coming in back for their COVID year. They're thinking about coming back for the COVID year. And even though you go, oh, well, you're not an outstanding offensive lineman, but the fact remains they have experience in freshman offensive linemen in the SEC. Very rarely in the last 20 years does that work out. So you would need, because we are losing a lot of guys on the offensive line. To get 2 of those back, I think it would be beneficial to us and the new guys. because you can work them in if they go through spring and fall camp and then they start to look good. You got a few games to kind of get them up to speed, and then let the old guy step aside. And it's additional, depth on the offensive line. But I think they're going to let the entire coaching staff ride for one more year, partially because of that with Bobo.
Okay, interesting. Rick Casanave says, did Mike sacrifice his hair to the football gods for some consideration on this game? Mike should have gone full Samuel L. Jackson. We need the help. So Mike G gave a little buzz cut for the cause. Speaking of causes, man, we want to just give a quick shout out to our one of our partners. The Lee County Humane Society is partnered with the Bissell Pet Foundation Empty the Shelters Holiday Hope event. Visit bisselpetfoundation.org/ETS for more details. Just trying to do a little good during the holiday season. They're lowering the fee to adopt pets. So if you are in the market for a little holiday pet for a friend or family member, now's the time to hit them up to try to get these shelters absent of some of these runaways and such. Let's go back here to the chat area. Unless anybody else had anything else to say on this coaching situation, we'll keep here. Does D. Davis transfer, or does he get consideration next year if Nix comes back? Somebody said earlier, though, with the injury, I think Bo is officially back next year. So it's a little early to do speculation on the quarterback position, in my opinion. I think we have to see how this season shakes out. But do you guys have any thoughts about this before we get final thoughts on the game itself? Because I do want to come back to some of this speculation talk, of course, post game and then Sunday. But any other thoughts on that before we get back to talking about the game?
I'm eager to see. I think TJ Finley has a lot to say about this, starting with today and moving forward, and how he plays is going to determine a lot going into the offseason. Of course, Bo's injury is not what Bo had hoped. So obviously he definitely wants to come back and give it another go. He wanted to finish the season strong and wasn't able to. But you got three guys, and I don't expect those three guys to be back at Auburn the next year. So it starts with today, how Finley plays. He has a lot to say about how this plays out. If he can give the coach something to think about, then it makes this conversation a lot interesting going into the offseason.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think ultimately, I think Demetrius Davis has the biggest decision of all of them left because he has the most eligibility. I mean, it's only 1 year above what TJ does, but still has the most eligibility of all the remaining ones. So he has more time, of course, to wait it out as well. I think TJ is probably the one that will have to make the biggest decision because his eligibility and moving to another program would mean, I don't know, it's got to be a starting job. He can't go to compete for a starting position somewhere else. But yeah, what you got, Mike?
I'm going to say the bottom line is all three of these quarterbacks are not going to be on this roster after this spring.
Very unlikely.
100%. Like, all three are not going to be on the roster. So which ones will depend on decisions that other people make. I think people may be a little shocked at what happens this offseason. I don't think that it's a guarantee that we see a return just because of the injury.
True.
I think this year has revealed a lot. I think that the heat has turned up quite a bit because of how this year went. So you're going to see some decisions being made in the best interest of winning. And that's all I can say about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I agree that I don't think it's a guarantee that just because Bo had an injury that Bo returns to Auburn. I think it's a guarantee that he comes back for his senior season, but, he's got a decision as to whether or not he wants to return to Auburn.
Yeah.
It's likely, but it's not I can see a scenario where Bo Nix decides Auburn's not the place he wants to finish his college career. But again, this is all speculation. This is not me before somebody takes this and me saying, "Oh, I don't want Bo coming back," and all. I'm not saying that. So calm down. I'm just saying that I can see that scenario playing out. But again, I think it's too early to make speculation about what anybody's going to do. And there's really no predictability about what anybody's going to do right now, other than I agree with Mike that it's unlikely that all of them return. It's I can't see a scenario where all three of them return.
And it's symptomatic of just a transfer portal too, just because guys have the opportunity to really weigh their options a lot more freely than they perhaps have before because there's no penalty. So you just don't know. It is kind of like free agency for these guys. So that's just you just never know.
I'll go ahead and make this prediction. If next year follows the same patterns as this year, this spring, everybody else is gone. Everybody. We don't hold on to either of the backups.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean,
you know,
yeah, I think we've seen for sure that the coaches are committed to a guy and they're not relinquishing that starting position easily. So if you don't win it in the spring, do you have much incentive to stay is the question. And then, that's to your point. You don't have much incentive based upon what you saw this year to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We are about 5 minutes from the presumed kickoff time. I don't know how much actual time we have until game time, but we got 5 minutes left in our show.
we got 13 minutes.
Okay, so we'll be on for the next 5 minutes. We'll let you guys get settled in before the game. Any final thoughts about the game? I'll let you go first, Mike, because I'm assuming that the Star Spangled Banner will be coming up soon there.
Yeah, this is a big game for a lot of people. Right? It's a big game for people. It's a big game for Brian Harsin. It is a big game for both coordinators. And a good showing here will guarantee what Brian said about both coming back next year. A bad showing here, and I'm telling you, there's going to be a sacrificial lamb this offseason. I think that accountability will demand changes if we get run off the field today. Because no team has really run us off the field all year. Right, so I don't think it's going to be acceptable in this game, especially given how some of our rivals have played against Bama so far. LSU played them with him. Florida, 2 points. Come on, man. They can buy some of these games. We are at home. Damn it, we got to play them tougher than anybody's played them this year. And I think that will buy a lot of people some time despite the collapse. If you win, obviously. But just a good competitive showing, man. If we can somehow not let Bryce Brown take 450 yards in this game, that'd be a good start. I watched the Wednesday show. I wasn't on the show, but I listened to our guest talk about how he's not really impressed with his Bama running back Robinson. And it's probably been one of the years where the run game has not been what it has been in the past. So if we can at least try to make them one-dimensional, force Bryce Brown into some tough, man, we'll be in good shape.
For sure. All right, see what you got.
Yeah, I just want to see. I want to see us use our best guys. I want to see Tank eat in this game, and I definitely want to see. I want to see us limit them in the passing game to some degree. I don't. We can make them one-dimensional, but I mean Mississippi State was one-dimensional. We saw how that worked out. So we got to make some stops through the air as well, and we got to play smart. We can't have the dumb penalties. We can't have late hits. We can't have stuff like that. Like we have to play with control. So that is that's something that I definitely want to see in this game. These guys play smart and just again put together 4 quarters. I think that's perhaps been the biggest disappointment down the stretch is we're not putting together 4 quarters. So we do that, man. I think not that I'm hoping for moral victories, but to me that's going to be very important in game 12 of this season.
For sure. B. Will, last word.
Fight. I want to see some fight. I don't want to run off the field in the second half. I just want to see some fight. If it's an ugly game, let's make it ugly. Let's make what was it? I think the Bama fans they hyped up the 2009, called it the drive to come back and beat us in 2000. We were a mediocre team, so to me that was uneventful. But being a mediocre team, we made them work for it, and we had some things going with Chris Todd there, of course, at the time, and we weren't great anywhere, but we made it a game, and we can do that here. We're great. Maybe we're not great anywhere, but we're very good in a couple spots to the point where we should be able to compete for 4 quarters. I think Coach Harsin said it on the pregame. We haven't played a 4-quarter game yet. It's time to see that 4-quarter game. I want to see it.
For sure. All right. Well, we will be back at you all at the half with whatever happens. We will be back at you guys. But until then, we'll holler at y'all, man. War Eagle, and hopefully we'll be back with some smiles. Peace.